Next, I need approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 5th, 2015.
I wanted to cut in for a second.
Sure.
If you guys look on page 2, under number 5, there's an error. I put 6 instead of 7. And we had already done the oath of office for Counselor Smith. So I did correct that, and those corrected minutes were in front of you.
Thanks for pointing that out to us.
I make a motion that,
Sorry, go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented for October 5th, 2015.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. Let's go ahead and throw in the budget meeting of October 12th, 2015 too.
As amended to include the city council meeting of October 12th, 2015.
I'll second the amendment.
Roll call.
Councilman Villagrana?
Aye.
Councilman Baker?
Aye.
Counselor Henniger?
Aye.
Counselor Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Upton?
Aye.
Councilman Martinez?
Okay.
Mayor Orr?
Half and half. I was here for one, not for the other. So that's about a 50-50 split on that one. Okay.
Let the record reflect the minutes of both meetings have passed.
As long as it's not. Okay, next we're going to move on to visitors. Do I have any visitors in the crowd that would like to come up and talk? No one?
Yeah, sure is.
Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. Intergovernmental agreement between the city of Florence and Fremont. That's you, isn't it?
Yeah, this is like the third time we've brought this here. You've approved it previously, however, the county wanted to do it in the form of an intergovernmental agreement. So the county came up with this form that they sent to us. I have no objection to it. It does exactly what we did in the last council meeting. So I'm requesting that the council approve this intergovernmental agreement with Fremont County.
Okay, I will make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement between the city of Florence, Colorado and Fremont County, Colorado for exchange of property and purchase of a water tap.
Second.
Just authorize the mayor to sign it.
Yeah, that's what we need.
And authorize the mayor to sign it. Is the second amendment?
I second.
All right.
Okay.
In this agreement, it doesn't, I'm sorry, it does, I didn't see it.
Okay.
Yes, I know what you're thinking. It's 2 instead of 1, and that's,
Well, it was the difference in money. So we get 2,500 and 2 shares.
2. Yeah, and 2 shirts.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all those in favor of authorizing the mayor to sign this?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, looks like we got a majority.
Let the record reflect it was approved unanimously.
And that's one what Mike's new deal.
I understand.
Yeah. We're all trying to understand. Next. We have appointment of the planning commission vacancy that fills Patricia Smith's position. Is that correct? Is it just one
well,
position?
2 positions, one left from when Dick Upton was on the planning commission.
So we have 2 positions.
We have 2 open and 2 candidates.
Okay.
Makes it
And that's
easy.
Wade, you're going to talk to us about it?
Yeah, we're pleased that we received 2 applications for both open spots. Dr. Bowles, I think, has just been here for a short time, but he's gotten very involved in a number of social groups as well as fixing the historic church. And Christy McGovern, I hadn't met before, but she saw the newspaper ad and put her application in, and we invited her to come to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting that we had last week, and she attended. So that's a pretty good sign for any hopeful commissioner to actually just get a call on short notice and come down. So I think we're lucky that we've got 2 good applicants for these Planning Commission seats.
I make a motion that we approve
These are, I'm sorry, Councilman, these are mayoral
Yeah, they're
appointments to the
appointments.
planning
Oh, I'm
commission.
sorry.
Yeah,
I
no, that's all right.
Mayor, my apologies, sir.
Okay, and you have contact information for both these people on that?
Yeah, Christine, and then I think Mike's got Dr. Bowles, if you can give it all to us.
All right, well, it looks like we can fill both these positions then.
We're actually really happy with the candidates that we
Yeah.
got.
So we know that. Did you know this?
She came to planning commission last Thursday, and she talked about herself a little bit, and a lot of, pretty relevant experience, new to the community, but really,
She's been on a zoning board in Centennial, so she's got
none
some
of us had met her
background.
till that night, I don't, at least,
Yeah.
I hadn't met her, I don't think Wade had.
It would have been nice to be able to meet them.
I don't think neither of them are here, but she did show up to work.
This one.
Except for Wade.
Okay, that would be nice. Okay.
So that,
Are you making those appointments tonight then, Mr. Mayor?
I would really like to, I know Matt pretty good, but I'd like to, I know nothing about this Christine.
Well, as a representative from the council
Oh,
to the planning and zoning, I was quite impressed with her, quite frankly. I think she's very well qualified. So it's, if you look at how it's written up,
Yeah,
so
I
I'd have
read
to
the
say
letter.
that, in fact, we generally don't see anyone with those qualifications coming before to the city for the appointment.
okay.
Yeah, as a planning director, we welcome everybody, but it's pretty rare to get such a nice application and a resume attached.
yeah, both these are.
Did you meet her?
strong candidates.
So you-
Yeah, we met her, she came,
Well, then I'll just go ahead and we'll appoint both of these to the, okay? But I still would like the meeting,
thanks for that.
okay?
I'll invite her to come to the next
All right.
meeting, introduce her to council.
All right.
Dr. Bowles, it might take a meeting or two before he can get here because he doesn't know his shift too far in advance, so sometimes he's on shift, sometimes he's not, so, but we'll get him here as soon as we can.
We'll have a chance to meet him October 30th, right?
October 30th, yeah.
Yes,
The Halloween party at his house.
go to the party.
Okay, so we got both those positions filled, then we'll have a full house there, right?
We will, we'll have five. We'll have five for, at least now.
Okay. Moving on to new business. We need to set a public hearing at the Elk Special Event Liquor License Permit. Public hearing date November 2nd, 2015 at 7 p.m. and the event date November 14th, 2015, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Do you need a motion for
And
this?
we need Dina to maybe tell us a little bit about what they're going to do and what this is all about.
Right now, it would just be to set the public hearing, but it's for the Elks Club, and they are hosting an event there at the Elks 611 on 131 Front Street. And then they attached a letter that basically just saying that the Elk Club supports this event and that they will be here at the public hearing to tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay, I'll make the motion as stated by Mayor Orr, so I don't have to repeat it.
Second?
First and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Upton,
Yes.
Councilman Baker,
Aye.
Councilman Villagrana,
Aye.
Councilor Henniger,
Aye.
Councilor Smith,
Aye.
Councilman Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Orr.
All right. Okay. And this is a public hearing to set the date for the 2016 budget. Public hearing date November 2nd. Boy, that's cutting it close, isn't it? 2015, 7 p.m.
I'll make a motion
Second.
Election November 3rd.
as I read.
Okay, we have a first and second.
Yes.
Roll call.
Councilman Baker,
Aye.
Councilman Upton,
Aye.
Councilman Villagrana,
Aye.
Councilor Henniger,
Aye.
Counselor Smith,
Aye.
Councilman Martinez.
Aye.
Mayor Orr.
Aye. Okay, agreement to lease the REM. And Mike, would you give us a little information
Yeah.
on that?
We've got as we work to lease out the different parts of the building, we've had the REM group led by local artist Mary Shell working on rehabbing and fixing up the old manor part of the building. For right now, the number that Ms. Shell has proposed that that they pay for leasing while they're fixing it up, because they're really just losing money too. This is really about covering electricity costs. That's going to be the cost that we really have, a little tiny bit of water and electricity. That's the only thing they have down there is power. She's proposing $250 a month, which seemed reasonable, and that I don't think they'll really be able to use $250 a month of electricity while they work on this and fix it up. And then in the end, we'll come back with another lease amount. They are going to have to get insurance for it. So basically, should you choose to approve this, we're recommending $250 a month rental for this part of the building, subject to them getting us the insurance, and also we've got to add the map to it. It's just the first floor of the manor from City Hall down, not the walkway, but City Hall down. We'll get you that map. We just forgot to put it in here. Paul's got a question.
Are we, have agreed to, I know that they're working down there, and we ought to have some kind of agreement with them until they get that insurance, that...
Well, they've got to get the insurance to us right away.
Right
I mean,
away.
we should have in my mind, if you approve this, they've got to have the insurance in the next couple of days.
Okay.
She proposed that we do not start charging them rent until December 1st, just so that she can get it together financially, try to get some donors to help pay for it, that kind of thing, or some other people to participate, because right now it's coming out of pocket for those that are there. And we could push it back and say, no, we want November 1st, we want November 15th, whatever day the council wanted, but her proposal was December 1st, just because basically she's paying it out of pocket. So.
I noticed that they had a sign on the door that says open now.
November 1st.
No, first.
If I may, us as a council, we agreed to let them have a trial run until November 30th. And so that's why the lease would start December 1st, is that would finish up the trial run, and then the lease would start December 1st.
But we would need insurance.
Right, insurance would start immediately.
Larry?
Just for clarification, there is no heat provided for that portion of the building, so we don't have any expense at the...
Well, there'll be
there.
some electricity when they're
But no,
working.
the electricity,
They're going to have to have
but
some
no
kind of
heat.
electricity when it gets cold.
Okay, all right.
They're proposing possibly adding propane. There is a gas blower or a glass blower that's coming in, and he's going to need propane for his purposes, but then they can pull off that to add additional heating to other, and they would work with the fire department.
Obviously, we'd have to work with the
Well,
fire
we have to
department and everybody.
Okay.
Our building official will be a big part of that. That is not part of this agreement
That's
yet.
right.
We're
That's
still
not part of the
working
agreement.
through
So if
logistics
they-
of that.
And
Went to propane before anything can be done, the fire department has to be
Yeah, all that.
totally involved.
And at a minimum, we'll bring you back.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the fire department signing off on it, here's the building inspector making sure how it's legal, here's Sursa signing off, et cetera, and their insurance signing off. So we're not going to jump into that until we know it's safe.
And what I'd really like to see is Mary watch the electrical bill, because if they got a ton of space heaters in there.
And electricity is it's our way
Yeah,
higher than
that's what I'm saying. If they put space heaters all over there and it spikes up,
Is there a
so I'd
separate
like
meter?
you to keep an eye
I
on
will.
it. Okay?
Is there a separate meter?
No?
No,
It's all-
You just
We
have to
just
watch the
it
overall
compared to
bill.
normal.
Yeah, we'll just
That's,
compare
I
it
mean, we don't have
to
no
a
way
year
of
ago,
gauging it.
et cetera.
Yeah.
Then I make a motion that we agree to lease to REM Mary Shell director with a place of residence, where she lives, residence of 1424 Elm Street, Kansas City, Colorado. A place in the city of Florence admin building.
Second.
First,
Okay,
second.
I have
Yeah.
a question here. Has she moved property into the space? I mean,
Yeah, well, Charlotte can answer that.
For the trial run, they have moved property into the space, so it is being used right now as an exhibition center.
Okay, I think to protect the city, we need to include in the motion then that she provide proof of insurance that covers the personal property that's over there within 5 days of,
Yeah, I think by the end of this week.
I agree.
by the end of the week. Is that all right?
My motion is amended as recommended by our lawyer.
And I'll second the amendment.
I do have a question. I am one of the benefactors for this. Is it appropriate for me to vote
Sure.
on this, or should I abstain?
You're not making any money off it,
No.
you're only losing.
I'm losing money, yeah.
It's appropriate.
But Mr. Mayor, one more amendment to it. I think we also need to say that subject to the map being put in as to where exactly they get.
Yeah.
Amendment to amendment to include Mike Patterson's recommendation of a map.
I'll second the amendment.
Anything
Et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on this? So, yeah, let's just keep an eye on it, Mary, and we'll go from there. Huh? All right.
And the insurance.
Yeah. 'Cause I know in space, all in those spaces, we'll run them like crazy. Roll call, please.
Councilman Villagrana.
Aye.
Councilman Baker.
Aye.
Councilor Henniger.
Aye.
Councilor Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Upton.
Aye.
Councilman Martinez.
Aye.
Mayor Orr.
Aye. Okay, next, we got a special use permit for the child care center. Did you wait?
Yep.
Okay.
Hello again. Last Thursday, the Planning Commission met and convened, and they heard this case for application for a child, basically a daycare home at 700 Pioneer Lane. We had a quorum of all three of our members, and this is an application by Jennifer Albertson, and it's to conduct, basically, it's essentially a daycare home. Under our code, we don't have anything specifically kind of talking about what's very common around Colorado. It's kind of a daycare home up to about eight kids. We have a child care center, but don't be confused. This is not going to be a center of 30 to 50 to 100 kids. This is a daycare home. One woman who's here with two of her children, and then 6 other children, I believe, is what she's allowed. These are fairly standard in the state of Colorado, and so this is a process in the statutory city that it gets reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it comes to City Council. The commission heard Ms. Albertson, and they forwarded a recommendation of approval 3-0 that they recommend this the special use permit for a daycare. It's in a perfect location. It's over in Sumo. It's a new neighborhood, larger houses, 4 parking spaces, on-street parking. The lots across the street have not been developed, so it's actually a very appropriate place for her to have this business. So there'd be anticipated a little bit of traffic and drop-off and pickup times. And she's got a large fenced yard, and she's currently obtaining her state licensure. And so the only permit permit condition is that we recommend that she show proof of her state licensure within 120 days. So, and when she was doing this, she let me know that Florence only has 1 licensed daycare, so this is actually in the good of the, all the working people of Florence to allow more daycares. They generally have very little impact to the surrounding neighborhoods. So, the planning. Go ahead.
Question that you did answer is number 10. How do we handle the zoning of this property?
So the way that it's R1 zone districts allow special use permits for daycare centers. And so this is our system in Florence to allow home daycares as they go through a special use permit through the Planning and Zoning Commission that then get finalized by you guys.
You say it is R1?
It's R1, yeah.
And who checks, does the state come out and check the home for safety and everything?
Yeah, so we are just really, the Planning and Zoning Commission, City Council are just kind of looking
Or
at
the
general
county.
zoning issues. And then all those issues of, whether she's got a record or if the property's big enough or
Or the
internal
safety of
things,
the-
the safety, that all goes to the state, yeah.
Okay,
And so we just kind of looking at really basic. So there's very few times we'd ever recommend denial. And I think at Planning Commission, I mentioned, if there was a toxic factory or something behind her house, you might recommend denial. But generally, cities and counties recommend approval, and then they let the details out with the state licensing board.
Larry?
Doesn't need an answer.
Larry?
One second.
Question number 11, how large is the property? And then, of course, it's acres or square feet. We don't have a number of square foot for the home.
I'll have to
How
look
large
at her.
is it?
I have to double check on it to get you an answer.
And
10 by 10, 10.
And then you're talking about you're going to be using 60% to occupy, but I'm just kind of curious, how much space are we talking about?
And really, the state just regulates if she's got enough space and if things are protected, and the cities and counties usually just don't get into the minutia of the internal functioning of the daycare. Basically look at, where it's positioned, is there enough parking for the added extra loading in the street? This looks like a perfect location for it.
Dick?
Well, if there was any problem with any of these, the state would be involved and deny a license if they didn't
Yeah,
meet codes.
yeah, I did.
What,
I did probably 60 of these when I worked in Pueblo, and I don't think I ever saw one of them denied, and I never had one of them come back as a major problem.
what about the neighbors? What if they got
So it was noticed in the newspaper as well as everybody within 300 feet, and I didn't receive any objections.
okay.
Was it signed?
Signed, yep. So,
Charlotte?
Mr. Mayor, I applaud this woman for doing this the right way. I think there's more than just one daycare, but there's probably only one daycare that's licensed. So I make a motion that we approve the special use permit for 700 Pioneer Lane
Okay,
for Jennifer Albertson.
let's back up a minute. This requires a resolution. Y'all have a resolution in front of you. There's no number on that resolution. I think it needs to be changed from what I hear Wade saying in the fourth whereas, from 90 days to 120 days.
really, we have it could be either one of them.
Well,
Really,
I can't remember what the planning commission
I think the planning
recommended.
commission said 120 days, so if we could amend
That's
that.
what I'm thinking also.
And if it needs a number, then we should probably also put the location on the resolution as
So
well.
do you all have the resolution in front of you? Okay, in the fourth whereas clause, change 90 days to 120 days. And then in the actual now therefore clause, change the 90 days to 120 days. It essentially captures Wade's comments and the fact the Planning Commission is recommending to the council approval of the application.
It's 2015-9.
What is it?
2015-9.
19.
Okay.
So the resolution number is 2015-19.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. So I would like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2015-19, a resolution allowing child daycare center as used by special review in an R1 zone district.
Second,
As amended.
Okay, as amended.
Okay.
second.
Okay. We have a first and second. Is there any further discussion in this matter? Okay. Roll call.
Counselor Henniger.
Aye.
Councilman Villagrana.
Aye.
Counselor Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Upton.
Aye.
Councilman Martinez.
Aye.
Councilman Baker.
Aye.
Mayor Orr.
Aye. Okay, moving on. Mayor's report, I have no report tonight. How about committee reports?
I would like
Charlotte?
to thank Sam for patching the potholes on North Fraser Avenue. It's made the drive so much more smoother, and all the residents have made comments about it, that it's a lot better. So Sam and Martin, great, thank you so much.
And not only that, I could add Cyanide Street that had that huge hole, way too wide. got a lot of good comments from the people at the senior center. Under committee reports, Mike, I was absent at the dispatch center. They were asking for did they ask for a big increase in their money?
No, they basically, they're at what was supposed to have been the 2014 levels is where they're at right now in the original plan. They went through and the number that they actually ended up asking for was quite a bit less than we actually budgeted. Just don't write that down. So we're actually 12 or 13,000 under. It's still in there in the budget at the old numbers. So pretend I didn't say that either. But the number, we were really happy with the numbers they came back with. We pretended to be unhappy.
Then you approved it?
What we did is because Chief Schultz from Canyon City was very, very concerned that the city council would be very upset. So we passed it with the motion that it would have to, that each entity present then has to go back and have it approved through their regular budgeting process. Because that is what it actually says in the interlocal agreement, that they can't just pass the budget and ram it down everybody else's throat. But we passed it that way with that language in there, so it was clear to our council, but more probably for Canyon City, because they were really upset about it.
Did Mary get that information for the budget?
We haven't put it in here yet.
I have it, a note in my system, what the new number is, and it's 13, right around 13,000 less.
Yeah, we didn't want to tell anybody that.
So,
Keith, Mike, do you hear anything about Sumos, about that road?
Basically what we've got is Pioneer tells us because the weather is still good, they haven't been able to pull their people out to finalize the numbers. I pushed it again last week, and that's what I got. He said as soon as the weather gets cold, we're asking Richard Saxton for a number from him, what it would cost for him to design it, and so I'll have that number probably tomorrow. But that's the dilemma, is money we don't have budgeted to design it, or wait a couple more weeks for Pioneer's guys to design it. So,
Are we still allowing them heavy trucks go through there?
well, we really don't have anything that we can do about it.
So it's done.
I do have a question for Wade. Have you heard anything from the BLM about the Lester Atterbury diversion, when they're going to start construction on that? Okay, great.
Okay, any other reports?
Another reported question is, I've been asked by some citizens, and the question is, Mike, in the event that the half-cent sales tax passes, which I'm pretty sure it will pass, the city council is going to have to sit down and make a list of priorities and, take a look at the transportation plan, but I still think that the city council needs to have a set of priorities in the event that it does pass.
Well, we have some priorities that were passed a few years ago. We asked Public Works to give us more of a, hey, where are we really at right now? So we'll bring that to you as well for you to take a look at. It's, you have that right there? You're going to give that too? Okay. I know the East 3rd Street, right out at the edge of the city limits, is deemed by the Public Works Department as absolutely the worst stretch in town. I think Front Street is seen as number 2, and I can't remember the other ones.
With all due respect, sir, I know that we're going to have to meet with the people that Anthony has been very diligent in requesting the city fix that road up there. I have citizens that have asked me what they can do, and I think that we need to take a hard look at that and maybe even ask them to form a committee to, even if it's just chip and seal that.
Well, and that's exactly what Public Works has worked on. And again, that's just the Public Works Department's recommendation. In the end, it's City Council's choice which ones come first, second, third, fourth. I know that that's what Public Works sees as the 2 worst, but again, that doesn't mean Denver Street is not in that top group. And part of what we want to do is also designate which, where we can get grants and that kind of stuff in particular years, what's the different areas, and try to do all that as well to make that money go further.
You know, ever since I've been on council, and ever since I've lived in Clarence, that particular section has been one royal pain.
And I think you're right, it's probably gonna have to be a chip seal. The biggest issue there is gonna be making sure we have drainage
Exactly.
functioning properly, because drainage is gonna be, that's gonna be the real challenge on that one. That is one that is gonna cost more than most of the repairs, so we're gonna have to, I don't know that you can do that one year one, unless you bond it and pay it back, just because it's likely to cost a lot more, but we'll come up with engineer estimates on that as well. We don't have a good solid engineer estimate on that.
Well, why don't we wait to see if it passes first before we go in?
Well, we've got a lot of,
You know?
we've got a lot of areas that,
Yeah,
you know,
but you
kind
don't
of
even know
focus
if it's
on.
counted for sure.
Let's leave it at
Yeah,
that for
okay.
now. We'll get the rest of those later in the day.
Okay, any other committee reports?
And while we're doing that, engineering for water, you might want to take a look at the road on Highlands, with that big ditch.
Actually, that's one of the things I've heard. Arrowhead is definitely seen as, I think, actually, number 2. So,
I like number 1.
that's only the top 5, but obviously, well, top 6, and, and that's only by Public Works. Now, obviously, Denver Street would be another one that's not in that top 6, but, just a second, we got tape.
Okay, we done with committee reports now? No further committee reports. City attorney's report?
I have no report.
Okay.
Any questions for me? Sorry?
No executive session.
Not unless
I'm gonna ask.
blame him. You had to open your mouth.
Yeah, really.
Really? Okay,
He's itching to go out.
well, I'm gonna call the department heads, so, yeah, you're one of them.
I'll start with your favorite. The tree committee had a quick meeting so that we could receive some trees from Black Hill Energy. So 2 people came from Black Hills, and we had kind of a smaller group, but we wanted to get it done quickly so we can get the planting scheduled. And so, thank God for Manfred. He says, so you're going to give us 15 trees? And she's like, well, I was thinking 10, but we'll give you 15 anyway. So it sounds like the mayor and Manfred have driven around, picked out some locations. I was going to get a copy of that and kind of vet it through Public Works, make sure all the locations work. And then November 18th, they're going to come and their crews is one of their favorite things to do. They'll actually install all the trees in one day. And then the tree committee is going to meet November 6th at noon. So we have another meeting to move on with some other things. But I thought that was good news. We're going to get 15 trees. And we talked about picking the right species that would work here and not doing a monoculture. So we'd have a couple different trees in case anything came up with the ones that do get planted.
And are they gonna plant them too?
They will plant them, yeah.
All
So
right,
we
that's what I
probably need to
thought.
have a public works person standing by someplace just in case, but we don't have to, we don't have to be there babysitting the whole time. I think the one on Main Street might be a little bit trickier, but otherwise.
Good
But
deal.
we're still finalizing the locations on those. Once we get your list, we'll embed it through Sam and Mike and Martin.
Yeah.
Make sure, so we make sure the locates are taken care of. The Planning and Zoning Commission, after they passed that permit, talked about amending the Central Historic Business Code to make a couple things easier. We've been talking about this at the Planning Commission for a couple of months on and off, and basically it would it'd make residential living a little bit easier. Right now, if you were to do a mixed-use unit, that it's a little after the fact for some people who have already done this, but it would make, if you wanted to do half of your unit as retail and half of it as residential, it would be a use by right, so you wouldn't have to go through any kind of special use permit system. It would also make offices use by review a little bit more open, so like the Curves building and stuff like that could just be an office on a case-by-case basis, and it would help with some of the refinancing of some of the houses that are stuck in that zone district. Right now, they're kind of considered commercial, and some people have had problems with that, although Sandy said that she came to council and made an amendment at some point, so I'm going to track that down as well. We're also going to look at potentially finding a way to allow Carochi and some of the light industrial uses that have already been there for, 80 years or whatever to be okay as a use by review. So if it wanted to stay, it could stay, but if, 10 years from now, if it turned into an art gallery or something like that, it would still be CHB and would do that. So that's it. Lester Atterbury is, they sent an email, I was kind of wondering the same thing, and maybe a week and a half ago, they sent an email saying that they've got under contract with the firm and that they're moving along with it, and I said, just check in with us, because you did promise that you'd have some kind of public input process, whether it's a committee meeting or a public meeting or something. We'd like to get some input on that process, so they did.
Thank you, Wade.
Thanks, Wade. Martin, you got anything?
Just an update on the meter change-out schedule that we've got. We have roughly 1,906 meters that we have to change out. The guys have worked pretty hard, and they're about 70% complete.
Wow.
And that's what we've been working on for maybe 4 months. So they've been hitting it pretty hard. The ditches are going to be turning off here soon, so we'll get back to work on some of the ADAs that we can get to that the ditches run through, because we can't do them until the water's off. So we'll be getting back to some of that and getting to some of those trouble spots on Main Street you want to look at. We're going to try and get to some of that this winter if we can.
You have some nasty settings on some of those.
Yeah, it's kind of going to be kind of tough to get in there, but just an update on that. And like I said, we did some asphalt patching last week, and that's pretty much what I got right now.
We're getting the hot asphalt instead of the cold.
Yeah, we have to. We can't afford the cold mix right now, and we're actually having to go all the way to Pueblo to get our asphalt because Kenny never fires up, and when they do, they don't call us when they do. So it's kind of hard to schedule up with them. And we try and call them and tell them, hey, give us a call when you fire up, and it don't ever happen.
I was going to ask if you'd come over to my street in Canyon fill in some holes. Just kidding.
Bring your truck over, I can put a little bit of road base in there for you, and you can throw it in there. But that's pretty much all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the update.
Do we have any road base that we can build?
We probably shouldn't have this side conversation going on.
Yeah. We don't
This is a public meeting. Paul, you want to go ahead and ask him?
because
Go ahead and ask
don't
him
need
the
no
question.
sidebar on it.
Yeah. Well, and the street on Court Street.
On Courts?
Yeah, it's got great big holes.
Oh, by the park?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get that taken care of, that's not a problem.
Sorry about that, y'all.
Okay, any other department heads? Mary, Brandon?
I have nothing.
Okay. Mike, would you like to add something?
We've been pretty steady the last couple of weeks. I think most we had a standoff a couple of weeks ago on 3rd Street with an armed subject. It ended peacefully, thankfully. We also had a pretty violent domestic Thursday night to Friday morning, which resulted in some kidnapping charges and stuff being filed against an offender in that felony domestic and menacing. So we've been very steady. I'm glad you approved the new camera system. I was just informed I have 2 officers right now at our tow yard. We helped the county out Wednesday or Thursday on a possible, it turned out it was suspicious circumstances, turned out to be a possible armed robbery that was going to take place. We towed the car here, our detectives have been working on it, and they broke into the tow yard a little while ago and tried to see if we found what was in the car. We had already found what was in the car Friday. They didn't know that, so hopefully this camera system's going to put a stop to that because they'll have infrared and we'll have, we're trying to get the fenced-in area for that. We're working with Wade and Grant people to try to get that fence in, so we've been very active. That's all.
Okay. Move on to the city manager's report.
Okay, a couple items real quickly. At our next council meeting on November 2nd, that is when we're going to move our committee meetings to 5:30 at night. Is that what we decided on?
That was
5 o'clock. And we're going to ask our city attorney to come that evening. he has some concerns about what we've been working on in the code enforcement direction, so we want to get his input. So we will work on that 5 o'clock on the 2nd of November. I am going to ask for an executive session to discuss a personnel matter. And then on some committee reports, we hosted Action 22 board meeting, and we asked them to support us on an initiative relating to Guantanamo Bay. They have been working on that, and that should come out probably tomorrow. Paul already addressed the dispatch meeting. We're going to give you an update on that. And then this Wednesday, Senator Grantham and one other member of the House Representatives, I can't remember who it is, but there's a meeting this Wednesday that FEDC is putting on. You're all invited if you would like to attend. Right now, I only have a few of you who have said yes, so if you would like to go, let me know after the meeting, and we'll make sure that you go. I need to give FEDC updated numbers.
What time is it?
It's at noon, I believe.
11:30.
11:30.
That's 120, they're all, it's a blue flame room. Mechanic.
It is
Where'd you get that?
11:30. Yeah.
Was that an email you got?
Is that it?
Okay, that is it, and then I would ask that we go into executive session.
Okay.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss.
No, we gotta,
Yeah.
no.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills
I'll
first.
second that.
There you go.
Oh, sorry about that.
You got a question for that one?
We got a first and a second.
I had the first, I made the motion.
Second. Okay. Roll call.
I think there's some discussion.
Was there?
On bills?
Go ahead.
Paul?
No, I just raised my hand, so yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard something.
Councilman Baker?
Aye.
Councilor Henniger?
Aye.
Councilman Villagrana?
Aye.
Councilor Smith? Aye. Councilman Upton?
Aye.
Councilman Martinez?
Aye.
Mayor Orr?
Aye. Now,
Now,
you can make
I
the
make a
motion.
motion that we go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter presented by the city manager.
We have a second? No?
I'll second.
Second.
I like that.